Validating higher order constructs, that is reflective-formative. In this session, we are going to talk about how to validate higher order constructs, that is reflective at the lower level and formative at the higher level. Now these are the three subdimensions. Each of them is reflective at lower level, but at higher level, these three, vision, development and rewards, they form internal marketing. In this session, we are going to look into how to validate such a scale. We are going to use the two-stage approach. Now let's talk about it. The two-stage approach. Researchers have proposed a two-stage approach as an alternative to the repeated indicators approach. In fact, research has proposed two versions of the two-stage approach. The first, the embedded two-stage approach, and the disjoint two-stage approach. Now this two-stage approach, the disjoint one, differs slightly from the embedded two-stage approach. For example, while the embedded approach models the entire higher order construct in its first stage, the disjoint approach initially only draws on the lower order components, hence the denominations embedded and disjoint. Now how does this work in SmartPLS? I'm just going to talk about it in a while. I'm going to explain the difference when I'm practically explaining the two approaches. As both versions of the two-stage approach lead to similar results, you can see the paper by Chia, there is no compelling reason for preferring one over the other. In the following, we introduce first the disjoint two-stage approach for reflective-formative type higher order construct. However, this one is preferred, although it leads to similar results. The disjoint two-stage approach. Now have a look here. Stage 2 of the disjoint two-stage approach. Now this is the stage 2, whereby you've got this higher order construct measured formatively, and you've got your lower order construct, that is the composite scores, latent variable scores generated in the first or at the first level. But look at the other lower order construct. You see the indicators instead of the latent variable score. If this was embedded two-stage approach, there would have been just one variable, that is the latent variable score for this variable. Now, how do you get latent variable score? I'm just going to tell you. Now, the disjoint two-stage approach differs from embedded two-stage approach in the specification of both stages. Rather than using the repeated indicators approach in stage 1, the disjoint two-stage approach considers only the lower order construct of the higher order construct without any higher order construct in the path model. Now when you are using disjoint two-stage approach at the first stage, now since these are two stages, so at the first stage we only have the lower order constructs in the model, just the way we did it earlier when we were doing our measurement model. So we put in all our lower order constructs, irrespective of whether they belong to a higher order construct or not. These are directly linked to all other constructs that the higher order construct is theoretically related to. Now to execute the disjoint two-stage approach, researchers then need to save the construct scores, that is your latent variable score, but only those of the lower order components. So we only save the scores of lower order components. And stage 2, we use these scores to measure the higher order constructs. However, different from the embedded two-stage approach, all other constructs that do not have a higher order construct will remain and will be utilized as is, as they were at the first stage. That is, for example, Y5 here has 3 indicators. So in stage 2, this will serve as is. We are not going to measure Y5 based on its latent variable score. Rather, we are going to use its indicators. This is how it differs from your embedded two-stage approach. Now, how to do this? Let's have a look. Now, here is my model. Let's go to measurement model first. Now, we have already done this, and this is the measurement model at lower level. Now, these are the 3 subdimensions of internal marketing. These are the subdimensions of internal service quality as in the model. And these variables here, all other variables are already measured on lower order level. And the other variables here, all these variables, these mediators, and these are the moderators, and this is the dependent variable. All these are lower order constructs. They do not have any higher order construct. Only these three, they form internal marketing. In this session, we are going to focus on this one here. So the first stage, you only add your lower order constructs. Whether it has a higher order construct or whether a particular construct is at lower level and does belong to a higher order construct, it does not matter. You simply add all your lower order constructs just the way I have. And you link them. Let me briefly go through it. This is my IV. Now these are the subdimensions for internal service quality. That is a higher order construct measured as a reflective, and these are lower order constructs. Now, since these are independent variables, these are mediators, these two are moderators, and this is my dependent variable. So I linked the subdimensions of all my independent variables with the mediators and then with the DV as well. And then the mediators linked to the DV as well. And the moderating variable, since they are moderating just one relationship in the study, they are linked to the DV as well. Now, once you are done with this, you have to check the reliability and validity of all these constructs and report it. Now, once you have reported it, then you validate the higher order construct. You do not simply validate the higher order construct without validating the lower order construct. So once they are validated, and how, the video will be shared in the description. That is part of this series that has been done earlier. So how we get latent variable score, so I can validate this particular construct, that is reflective formative higher order construct. Go to calculate, PLS SCM, path, standardized default, start calculation. Now this is your graphical output. In this case, more or less I'm interested in report. So once you get the report, again validate the lower order constructs first. Check their reliable outer loadings, then check their reliability and validity, and check their discriminant validity. Report all these. And now we are going to go for the validation of higher order construct, that is reflective formative. So the first stage is we need to get our latent variable score. Now where are your latent variable scores? Here they are. Look at this, latent variable scores, latent variables and their scores. So what you can do is simply export to CSV. Now they are copied. Now this is my data file, and I'm going to come towards the end of the data file, the top cell, the last top cell, paste in them here. I do not need this, delete, and here are the latent variable score. Now each of your lower order construct now is transformed into a single variable. These three will now serve as indicators for the higher order internal marketing construct, or rather they will form the internal marketing construct. I've previously used in the last session reliability, assurance, empathy and responsiveness as indicators for internal service quality. That was higher order reflective construct. All these others, you do not need these, because in this series we are not going to use the embedded two-stage approach. If I was to use embedded two-stage approach, then at the higher level, I would have used these scores. But for now, let's keep it. I may do a video on this as well. And once you've got these scores, save it and go back. Let's save it. Let's copy it. Let's duplicate this one. Copy resource and right click, paste resource. That is your measurement model for higher order construct, that is internal marketing. Just press save. Now again, I've already imported that file, but you need to re-import this file after adding these latent variable scores. How to do this? Right click, import data file. Now where is that data file? Here is that data file. Open and you name it. Import. Now here is your data file, data_2. Now let's go and make up our model. So you open this file here. Now all my lower order constructs will remain as is, and instead I'm going to remove this here, I'm going to remove this here, I'm going to remove this one here. Now this is a higher order construct. What you can do is you can simply remove these and make a reflective higher order construct. So let's remove these because these are already validated. Which one is your data set? So we will select our data set and come down. Okay. So vision, development, and rewards. Now these are the three indicators now, because now we are doing higher order construct validation. So these three indicators will form internal marketing. And look at the arrows, and we need to change the arrows. Right click, invert measurement model. Here they are. Now move it here. And what about internal service quality? Now this is higher order reflective. So I'm just going to select the four indicators that were latent variables at the first stage. ISQ, press enter. This is fine. And now I'm going to link the variables here. This one here, this one here, this one here, this one here, internal marketing with dependent variable, and this one here. Now this is your model. Let's go to tools and let's magnify it a bit. This is too much. Now this is better. Look at this. IM, internal marketing. Okay, it's IM instead, and press apply. Now internal marketing, reflective, formative. This was reflective at first stage when we assessed our measurement model at the lower level. Now that we are validating at this one at higher level, so this one is reflective, formative. And this is reflective. Look at the arrows pointing at the higher level. Now how do we validate this scale? Before we go on and do it practically, let's look at the theory of it. When evaluating higher order models, the same model evaluation criteria generally applies for any PLS SCM analysis. However, higher order constructs need to consider two additional measurement models for which the evaluation criteria apply. The measurement model of lower order constructs. Again, when you have a higher order construct, the first step is that you validate all your lower order construct before generating the latent variable score and using them to create your higher order constructs. The measurement model of the higher order construct as a whole. Now next thing is you get your higher order constructs just the way we developed it. Now you're going to get the latent variable scores and add them to your project and then create a construct at a higher level based on the latent variable scores for the lower order constructs. Reflective formative higher order construct, the disjoint two-stage approach. Now in stage 1, the estimation of the measurement model assessment for the lower order components is based on standard model, that is again the reliability and validity is established. Then in stage 2, the latent scores are used from stage 1 and then you create your higher order model. This is how you begin your second order. First, HOCs or higher order constructs formative measurement model. The results support the convergent validity. So the first step is assessing convergent validity. How do you assess convergent validity at a higher level for a reflective formative higher order construct? What you need to do is you need to link your higher order formative construct with a global measure of that construct. Now you cannot have a global measure after you have collected the data. Now you have to be very considerate that when you are developing your questionnaire, you have an item that is a summary of the whole scale. Let's say we can have for internal marketing, the organization has vision, proper rewards, and development initiatives for its employees. Now this is a sort of a global measure that is measuring all the dimensions of internal marketing in my study. So it's sort of a global measure that is summarizing the whole construct. Now we have to have this before we start collecting the data, before or actually at the time when we are designing our questionnaire. Otherwise you cannot use it and you will have to rely on the other two assessment criteria. So in this case I've got one here. So how to validate it? Let's go back. I cannot use it. So let's go back, save it. Now you have to create a new model for that. New PLS SCM model. And I can say higher order construct, convergent validity. You save it. You have to select your data set. Make sure that you properly select your data set. And let's use this internal marketing measured at the higher level. And let's move the indicators. Select this. And where is my global measure? Where is it? Where is it? Here is my global variable. Add it. Enter. Now link the two. And go to calculate PLS SCM algorithm. Everything checks out. Look at this 0.800. And what was the criteria? That it should be 0.7 at least. The convergent validity for internal marketing is established. Assessment at stage 2, the first step checks out. Now the next step is we are going to look at the VIF values. Second, find that the higher order construct measurement model is not negatively affected by the collinearity and assess the VIF values of the LOCs for the HOCs. So validating formative indicators, again we have to look at the VIF values for the higher order construct. That is, as we said, find that the HOC measurement model is not affected by collinearity and assess the VIF of the LOCs. So where are the VIF of the LOCs? And they should be less than 5. Here it is. So go to calculate, PLS algorithm, start, and go to reports, VIF values. Where are they? Here they are. And look at this. VIF for the LOCs of internal marketing. Are they less than 5? Yes, they are less than 5. So no issue of multi-collinearity. And if they were greater than 5, you would dismiss the formative measurement model. Now we do not have any issue. And next thing is you start with assessment of your outer weights. Look at the outer weights and see if they are significant. Now, if they are not significant, then we will use this route. But if they are significant, you can move on, and still we are going to assess the loadings anyway. So how do we assess the significance of outer weights? Again, let's go back, and now we need to run the bootstrapping. All good. Okay. I'm going to use one-tailed because I know the direction of relationships. Let's start. Now here are the results. So go to report and have a look here, outer weights, and we are interested in this here, these three, vision, development, rewards, because these are formative indicators for internal marketing, forming internal marketing. Are they significant? Yes, they are significant. So we do not have any issue of outer weights. Now once this step is done, let's assume if this value would have been insignificant. What would you do then? If the outer weight is not significant, you assess the indicator outer loadings for the formative indicators and see if the outer loading is less than 5. If the outer loading is greater than 5, then you can keep the indicators although your outer weights are insignificant. So the first step, look at the outer loadings. Now let's assume, for example, let's say one of them is insignificant. So you go to outer loadings. Where are your outer loadings? Here. And look at this and have a look here. Greater than 0.50. So even though one of them that we assumed was insignificant, that is their outer weight was insignificant, but now their outer loading is greater than 0.5. Now let's say if this outer loading was less than 0.5, what will happen then? The outer loading is less than 0.5, then you need to assess the significance of the formative indicators. And if it is significant, but it is less than 0.5, you can consider the removal, but we will keep it. We will keep our indicators. Now, let's have a look here. Let's assume this loading is less than 0.5. But it is significant. So you can keep it. You do not need to delete this indicator that is part of forming internal marketing. But what if this would have been insignificant, the loading less than 0.5, the outer weight insignificant? Then you should remove it rather than keeping it, because it's not forming the higher order construct. Now a quick recap of how to validate your higher order construct. Now I know that internal marketing is my higher order construct that is measured using these three indicators. These three indicators at lower level are measured using multiple indicators here: vision, development, and then rewards. Now the first step, again, you have to validate them at the lower level like this. Look at this. So you make up your model like this, whereby you have all your variables at the lower level with their indicators, and you check them for their reliability and validity and report them. Now once you have checked them for their reliability and validity and have reported them, then what you do is you get their latent variable score. Where is their latent variable score? Here it is. Latent variable scores. Now you export it to CSV and paste it into your Excel sheet here. Just like this. And once you have pasted it, re-import this file into your SmartPLS project. And once you have imported it, now we are going to go at the higher level. Again, what I've done is I've created the higher order construct model, that is this one here. Now I'm using the latent variable score for vision, development, and rewards. That are my lower order constructs, and IM is my higher order construct. Once you add them, by default they are reflective, so you have to invert the measurement model here by clicking here. Now how do we validate this? Again, the first step is check the VIF values. To do so, you need to go to PLS SCM algorithm, and the next step you check it for your significance of outer weights and then the loadings. So significance of outer weights, and if the outer weights are not significant, check the outer loadings. If outer loadings are greater than 5, you are good to go. If they are less than 5, check the significance of outer loadings, and here are the significance of outer loadings. Let's quickly go through it. Here it is, your outer loadings and their significance, your outer weights and their significance. Now in order to know more about it, you can read this very good article on validating higher order constructs. How to report once your higher order reflective formative construct is validated. Now here I've got a template, and I start off with validating higher order internal marketing construct. Now internal marketing, here it is from my original model that we are assessing as part of this series. This is my higher order construct. These are my lower order constructs, and this is my higher order reflective construct that has been validated before. In order to assess how these constructs were validated, in order to find out the reliability and validity and how reflective construct is validated, or how lower order constructs are validated, I would request you to refer to previous sessions. Now once I've got this model here, this is my internal marketing construct that is reflective at lower level, but at higher level it is formative, and the arrows are pointing towards the latent construct of IM. All others are reflective, and these are lower order constructs. Look at the indicators, and this is another reflective higher order construct. So it is reflective at the higher level. Now all these constructs have been validated. In this session, I'm going to report the higher order formative construct of internal marketing. A quick recap. This is validating reflective higher order construct. Again, the procedure remains the same. You have to have your loadings, alpha, CR, NAVE, and HTMT. And these were the results based on the validation of all the lower order constructs. That is your first step. So in the first step, we validate all the lower order constructs. Now going back to the objective of this particular session, that is validating the higher order construct, internal marketing. Internal marketing was the higher order construct in the study based on 3 lower order constructs, that is vision, development and rewards, and at lower level they were reflective. A number of different steps are taken to validate the higher order construct, that is higher order formative construct. Now what is your step 1? Step 1 in validating internal marketing as a higher order reflective formative construct involves redundancy analysis that helps in establishing convergent validity, and that we did in the last session practically. In formative measurement, model evaluation convergent validity actually refers to the degree to which formatively specified construct correlates with alternative reflectively measured variable. Now for this you need a global measure. To execute this procedure for determining convergent validity, researcher must plan ahead in research. Now, how do you plan ahead in research? They need to include an alternative measure of the formatively measured construct in their questionnaire. According to TRIA and others, you have to have a global single item which captures the essence of the construct under consideration. Now, in this case, I had one construct that is a global item, and that actually asked about whether the respondents are happy with the vision, development and rewards of the construct. Now once you have it and once you have collected data on it, according to Hare et al., correlation of formatively measured construct with the reflectively measured item should be 0.708. This implies that the construct explains more than 50% of the alternative measures variance. Now you simply need to look at the path coefficient, and if it is greater than 0.708, you do not have any issue of convergent validity for your higher order formative construct. Now how to do this? Let's look at this. Now we have already done this. You can have a look here. Now just simply run it, PLS algorithm. And we have already done it previously as well. This is 0.800. And you can simply say that yes, it is 0.800, which is greater than 0.708. So this step 1 is done. Now the next step involves assessing the variance inflation factor. And when the values are greater than 5, then you have collinearity issues. In this case, we do not have any collinearity issues. How? Have a look here. Let's go to reports, variance inflation. Look at this. No values for this higher order construct are over 5. So no issues here. Now next, you assess the outer weights. This is step 3. And are your outer weights significant? In this case, I've reported them here. Look at this. These are the outer weights for vision, development and rewards. That is the indicators or lower order constructs for this higher order construct of IM. Are they significant? Yes. No issues. Where are they? Just quickly, let me show you. You need to run bootstrapping for that. And here is my model. Let's go to calculate, bootstrapping. Let's leave it to default, start. Now let's have a look at the reports and outer weights. Look at these outer weights. Significant. And how do you report them? Just put it in here, put in the T statistics, put in their P values. Finally, outer loadings. Where are the outer loadings? Here they are. And where are they in the output? Here they are. Outer loadings. Have a look here. Outer loadings were greater than 0.50. Are they? Yes. And significant. Are they significant? Yes, they are significant. And significant for each of the indicators of the higher order formative internal marketing construct. Now, since we have seen that all the criteria to establish the validity for higher order construct are established, we can say that yes, internal marketing is a valid higher order reflective formative construct. This is how you can report your higher order reflective formative construct using SmartPLS 4. Now that we have assessed the measurement model both at lower and higher level, and we have reported our results as well for reliability and validity, the next step is to test this model and to assess whether our hypothesis or the proposed relationships are significant or not. In order to do so, we are going to use the same procedure that we have been using for the past or the other videos as well. There's no change. You just have to go to calculate and press bootstrapping. Now, normally 5,000 to 10,000 is recommended, but for this video I'm just going to use 1,000. Most important, use for a better or stable solution, bias corrected and accelerated BCA bootstrap. One-tailed, reason being I know the proposed relationships, I know the direction of the proposed relationship. Make sure path is selected. All good. Let's start. Now here are your results. So go to path coefficients here and let's see. These are the proposed relationships in my study. The p-value over 0.05 shows that this particular relationship in this particular study is insignificant. Whereas these green ones are less than 0.05 and they show that these proposed relationships are significant. For instance, the impact of IM, which is the formative construct, reflective formative, the impact of IM on OP is significant. Now, how do I report these direct relationships? So I've got an example here which I will use. Here it is. Now, following the assessment of measurement model, the next step is the evaluation of structural paths or paths. For the evaluation of path coefficients, that is relationship amongst the study constructs and their statistical significance. Now my H1 is whether internal marketing IM significantly and positively affects organizational performance. The results revealed that IM has a significant and positive impact on OP. Now where is beta, T and P value? Here is beta, here is T and here is P. And let me correct it here as well. It's 521. And similarly, you can update your table as well. You can add, since you'll have more than one hypothesis, you can just put in here H1, H2, H3, H4, H5. Add the beta here, the standard error, that is your standard deviation, and then the p-value. And similarly, if you've got more hypotheses, just keep adding the rows, H2, H3, H4, H5, and so on and so forth. And again, you can have the figure as well. What you need to do is just go back here, right click here, export as image, and let's copy it to clipboard. And you can come down here and let's say we paste it here. Here it is. Here is your figure. Now a model may have direct relationships and indirect relationships as well. Now what if IM, your higher order reflective formative construct, is part of some indirect relationship, as is the case here? Now just to double check, look at this one here. Let's move it here, click here, look at this. This is formative. Now what if it is reflective? Just right click on it and click invert measurement model and it will change to reflective and formative. Now in this case I want it to be formative, so this is how it is. Let's hide the indicators. Now if it is part of some indirect relationship, mediation, then obviously what we do is, again let's quickly run the model. How to report it? Let's have a look. So in order to report mediation analysis, you need indirect effect, that is the impact of IV, in this case IM, on OP through the mediating variable. The total effect, the impact of IV on DV without the involvement of the mediator, or the sum of direct or indirect effect. Direct effect, the impact of IV on DV in presence of the mediator. Now this model here and this effect here, this is direct effect. This is the direct effect. Why? Because you have got mediators present in the model. Now the sum of this direct effect and the effect that is passing through these mediators will be your total effect. And we need to know whether it's partial or full mediation. So it's full mediation if the whole impact of IM on OP is passing through these mediators or the mediator in question. Whereas it's partial if your direct effect is significant, which is true in this case here. It is significant. So some of the effect of IM on OP is passing through this path, whereas some of the effect is passing through the mediators. Now in this case, I've taken one example. You can have other mediators and do the whole example as well in your case. Let's say I'm taking ISQ as a mediator. So internal service quality mediates the relationship between internal marketing and organizational performance. Mediation analysis was performed to assess the mediating role of ISQ in the relationship between IM and OP. First, describe what mediation analysis you are performing. The results are obviously shown in table 1, and they revealed a significant indirect effect of IM on OP through ISQ. So first, report your indirect effect. Where is it? Specific indirect effect. IM on OP through ISQ. Here it is. Is it significant? Yes, it is significant. So the impact of IM on OP through ISQ is significant. So ISQ is mediating the relationship between IM and OP. And you simply report the results here. The total effect of IM on OP was significant. So let's have a look at the total effect. Here it is. Total effects. IM on OP, it is significant. And finally, with the inclusion of the mediator, the direct effect was still significant. So where is your direct effect? It's the path coefficients here, IM and OP. So with the inclusion of mediator, the path did decrease. That is, some of the effect now passing directly, some of the effect is passing indirectly. Is the direct effect significant? Yes. So your direct effect is significant, your indirect effect is significant. It is partial mediation. If this would have been insignificant, then this would have been full mediation, because the whole impact of IM on OP was or would have been passing through ISQ. Now this is complementary partial mediation. Why complementary? Because the sign of direct and indirect effect is the same. Hence H13 or H3 or whatever number you've given was supported. And again, mention the total effects like this, the coefficient, the t-value, the p-value, the direct effects like this, and then your indirect effects with the coefficient, standard error, t-value, p-value, percentile bootstrap. Where is your percentile bootstrap? Specific indirect effects, confidence interval. Here it is. This one here. IM, ISQ, OP. So this is how you can use a higher order reflective formative construct. Assess its reliability and validity at lower level, then assess its validity at higher level, and then use it to assess the proposed hypothesis. Thank you very much.